Today's question is about eschatology. When is Jesus coming back?
Now, what does eschatology mean?
The study of end times, right? So if you look at Daniel 9:26, there's a lot of speculation when Jesus is coming back and so forth. Can you explain it and just kind of give more reference, more detail about that verse?
Sure, Pastor Sean. Daniel interprets the book of Revelation, and it talks about the abomination of desolation, which I'm not going to get into right now at this moment. But in Daniel 9:26, there's a period that begins from the going forth of the building of the temple.
Right.
We see that in Nehemiah chapter 2. There's a date given. If you calculate that date, there's a 483-year time span, and then Messiah will be cut off. He is killed. If you calculate it out, right to the day that Jesus was crucified, it tells you from the going forth of the building of the temple. Now, from that time forward, there's a parenthesis, and I'll explain that in a minute. That's the church age. There's still 1 7-year period that's left. And God says it's to deal with Jacob, Jacob's trouble. His name was changed to Israel.
Correct.
And so therefore it was Israel's trouble. So in order for God to deal with the Jews that have rejected him, that didn't believe that he was the Messiah, he's going to cause a tribulation period. Remember, the church is not appointed unto wrath. That's clear in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. So the church is not appointed to wrath. And then 2 Thessalonians had to be written because they thought that Jesus had already returned. And they even thought that Jesus was coming in their lifetime.
Okay.
So Paul had to correct them, whether you hear it by another person, letter, or spirit, if it didn't come from our hand. So there was people saying things that wasn't true. And even in Matthew 24, Luke 21, and Mark 13, the synoptic gospels reveal that in the last days, many shall come and say, I am Christ, or
right.
Or he's here, or as lightning strikes from the east to the west. That's when you know he's coming. You don't have to put up with none of these nonsensical people. He's not coming in the flesh anymore.
Right.
He's coming with his full glory, okay?
Right.
And with his power. So Daniel actually literally tells you that there could be no mistake that the Messiah was cut off, killed. And remember, they didn't understand crucifixion. Crucifixion was a Roman form of death. If you read Psalm 22, they pierced my hands and my feet. That's how you know God knows the future, which of course he does, and he prophetically writes it. So what it's talking about is up until the time Christ died, and I believe that parentheses is a 2,000-year period, and I take it from the death of Christ, and you add 2,000 years. That would bring us around 2029 and a half, not far. And I've been preaching that for 30, 40 years. Now, could I be wrong? No man knows the day nor the hour, not even the Son of Man, but we can know the season, and God rebukes us from we can tell, he told him, you can tell if it's going to rain or not. You can discern the clouds, but you can't discern the things that are happening in the spiritual world. So I believe we're approaching. Now, the only thing that would contradict that is this, I believe, is at the end of the 6,000 years would be, according to Jewish calendar, 225 years from now. So we may be, we'll be gone, we'll be in heaven and leave everything to everybody else. But that's the only thing that I can't see that could interrupt what I think is going to happen around 2030. And if you look at all the technology and they want to chip every person now, they want you to put an app on your phone. So if they have quarantine, they know if you leave your house and they can arrest you. It's starting to get Big Brother big time. But just to answer your question, God lays it out perfectly so you know that the Messiah died on this day. It's like April 4th, I believe, if I remember correctly. And then from that time, there's a church age, and God's not dealing specifically with Israel, although a lot of Jewish people have come to know Christ in 2,000 years. Right. But the big push will be the last 7 years is called the 7-year tribulation period. That's Jacob's trouble, which that's where they're going to really suffer, flee into the mountains of Petra. The enemy in Revelation 12 is going to pursue them. And, you know, I wouldn't want to be them and live through that time. But, you know, in the light of eternity, whatever it takes to turn their hearts back to the Messiah, that's what it's going to take.
Amen.